MSUM.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
This time with a lot of time. Was that ball intercepted? It was!
Hello everyone and welcome to Shields Field here at MSUM's Alex Nemzik Stadium for a brand new show called The Dragon Way. I'm John Webby, Web King. Now, it's been painful ever since March to not see Dragon student athletes out here competing, but that doesn't mean we're just going to quit. We've got way too much MSUM grit for that. So Go Team Productions and Dragon Football have combined together for a project called The Dragon Way, an all-new fan experience. The Dragon Way is all about the path of Dragon football to recent success under head coach Steve Lockway, but also the process and culture of the program behind the scenes. We'll break down some of the most important home games in the Lockway era into a few key series, then add brand new commentary from Coach Lockway, assistant coaches, and we'll even bring back some featured alumni for a perspective into the program like never before. Before we begin, we have to thank our loyal and committed sponsors that make all of this possible and encourage all of you sitting at home to do business with them to help the Dragon community grow. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, Bell Bank, Brand Folk, BSN Sports, Buffalo Wild Wings, Bite Speed, Courtyard by Marriott, Herbert & Gerbert's, Forum Communications, Gate City Bank, Matt Bus, Microtel and Travelodge, Midco, Papa John's, Pepsi, Richard's Transportation, Rustica, Sanford Health, Shields, SCHUCK's Bus Service, Spicy Pie, State Farm Agent David Eggers, TAC Music Venue, Travel Incorporated, and of course, Minnesota State University Moorhead. Once again, thank you to all of the sponsors that make this possible. And again, we encourage all of you sitting at home to support them as well so we can all grow together. Now, it's time for the show. Let's send it to your host in the virtual world, Steve DeStatio.
Thanks, Webby, and welcome to the Dragon Way. The third game of the 2015 season was significant for the Dragons in a variety of ways. They won their final 3 games in 2014 and started 2015 with a pair of wins. A big-time 42-17 win over Winona State at home, and then a Hail Mary toss as time ran out to beat Concordia St. Paul down in the cities. The Dragons were looking for their first 6-game win streak of any kind since 1987. A 3-0 start for the first time since 1987, and their first win over Augustana ever. They had never beaten the Vikings since Augustana joined the NSIC back in 2008. This was a good Augustana team that was loaded with talent. They would end up being the #1 scoring team in the NSIC, scoring over 42 points per game, and they had the #2 pass offense and overall offense in the NSIC, and they featured a quarterback in Trey Hyde who led the NSIC in offense, and a guy by the name of C.J. Ham that you see on Sunday afternoons wearing a Minnesota Vikings uniform. So let's bring in Steve Lockway, who's going to break down this first game with us. Coach, what is going on in your world in this wacky thing we call 2020?
Well, it has been a crazy year. It's been one of those things where, you know, there's no real manual on how to handle the situations that we've been given. But it's one where we just keep adjusting the sails with the winds, and we're just trying to survive and advance day by day and keep coming up with, you know, a plan and be able to adjust those plans and get ready for hopefully fall of 21 when we finally can get back on the football field again.
Steve Lockway is with me. This is the Dragon Way, our first installment, as we'll go back and take a look at the Dragons' third football game of the 2015 season against Augustana. You used the term survive and advance today. When I called you back in July, maybe, you used that term because there was still going to be some semblance of a football season. What do you do now that you know there's not going to be a 2020 season?
Well, for us, it's really trying to begin with the end in mind of saying, okay, our next football game will hopefully be fall of 21. And so how do we get our team ready to play by then? And so that's a marathon more than it is a sprint. And so it's helping our guys understand, what the new norm is and the new norm of safety. It's obviously continuing to recruit in a changing environment where some high schools in states are playing, some are not. For us, it's trying to figure out, are the seniors going to come back for that sixth fall, or are they going to graduate and move on with life? And so there's a lot of unknowns that we're trying to solidify, but that's really been the state of, I think, everything since March. And so there are unknowns. We're just trying to work with the best information we have to be able to move forward and, again, prepare ourselves for the fall of 21.
And I know John and some others named this show The Dragon Way, which has some pretty deep meaning. What does the Dragon Way mean to you?
Well, for us, it's been kind of our, whether you call it team rules or team values, that we felt like we live by, that we lead by. And it's the first thing you see when you walk into our locker room. It basically says, do what's right, find a way, keep getting better, be a great teammate. And there's a reason there's four of them. There's a reason we put the four fingers up heading into the fourth quarter, because those are the things that are embedded in the DNA of the players that we're looking for in this program. We really feel like, that's the way to live. That's the way to lead. And if you can live great, you lead great. And at the end of the day, that's what leads you to playing great football on the field on Saturdays.
All right. Here, this is the opening drive of the game. There are 15 minutes remaining on the first quarter clock. Of course, we're not going to go through the whole game. A false start sets you back. So it's 1st and 15. Do you have your plays scripted? What are you thinking right here to start the game?
Yeah, definitely. We always have some sort of script, whether it's an opening script. Sometimes we'll script regular downs or regular situations, first downs, 2nd and 7s. We always script our situational football, whether it be red zone, whether it be third down. So long answer, yes, we script. Our plan coming into this game, we felt like they were a super talented team. We were not better than them when the game started. We knew that. We had to wear them down, and we felt like our goal was to be better than them in the fourth quarter. So you can see on this first drive, and especially this first play, we were just trying to get the ball thrown out to the perimeter, make their defense run, in particular, make their defensive line run. And if you watch this defensive end on this first play, you can see he makes a heck of a play, but he had to do a lot of running to make the tackle. So we wanted to get the defense running. We wanted to get our backup quarterback, Demetrius Carr, off to a good start. That was really the kind of primary goals of the first drive.
All right, 1st and 15.
Seasoned and experienced.
And this is a Demetrius Carr guy. He did have a little bit of experience. This wasn't a fresh-faced kid coming out of the bullpen. He had put up a pretty good performance against Augustana before.
Yep, and then it had his season cut short. So been away for a while and then back into it. Here again, there's another perimeter throw. Easy throw, again, looking to make the defense run sideline to sideline, so eventually we something going in our favor.
It's the first third down you'll convert on this drive. It's 3rd and 7. Again, 3 up top.
Yeah, this was one of the things that you can kind of see, that inside receiver, Corey Ambrose, created a lot of attention by the defense. Kind of before Damon had jumped onto the scene, this was his first chance really getting in this season and doing some damage, so it's good to get him rolling early.
Yeah,
here's just a window dress version of the play we ran earlier. We started in empty. We just motioned Zane into the backfield and then over to the side again. You can kind of see where it's set up to throw him the flare like we did on the second play. But the empty look gave us a different defensive check. You can see everybody's blitzing. And so we have the built-in hot adjustment, which is to Jisker here, which Meach did a great job making that throw and then a great catch by Jisker.
Pretty exciting on the sideline from what you remember?
Absolutely.
Steve up 7-0.
And kind of like I said earlier, we didn't feel like we were maybe the best team at the beginning of the game. We were hoping to wear them down, make them run, extend, them out to be able to win it in the fourth quarter. So to be able to be up early 7-0, have momentum on your side, huge big step for us.
This looks like a very Lockway drive. Short, precise, maybe not the RPO that you want, but 81 yards through the air. Demetrius was great. Your offensive line was terrific. converted a couple third downs, 2.5 minutes in. Like we mentioned, Adam Jiskra, a place where he's familiar, his house, the end zone.
Absolutely. Adam, obviously, great catch. Drive that we thought for the most part was efficient. And credit to the offense after coming out and not being sharp, jumping off sides, managed to get that first down and then capitalized on the momentum that we had.
Did you guys want to throw was that in the script, or was it because it was 1st and 15? Was it in the script, your first 6 or 7 plays to throw the ball?
Well, the regular downs were to throw the football again, trying to get them to go sideline to sideline. When you run the ball up the middle or between the tackles, you really don't get the defense running back and forth. And we knew at the beginning of the game we weren't stout enough to be able to play in a phone booth, so to say. We needed to extend that, make them run, and then we felt like at the end when conditioning became a factor, that's where we had our best chance to be able to win. Our grittiness or our find-a-way attitude would prevail in the end if we could just wear them down and overcome really the talent gap.
7 rep Dragons. We're just getting started here on the Dragon Way. Sabermetric Steve Lockley and I'll return right after this.
When you get a news membership, you get all access. What does all access mean? For one low subscription rate, you can read and view all of the 20-plus Forum Communications news brands, including exclusive members-only live streams and virtual events. Simply become a member to get all your local and regional news from all of our online news sites, e-papers, apps, and more. Discover the benefits of All Access membership today.
With all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Papa John's papadillas for just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
It's a new stay at the Courtyard by Marriott, located just minutes from downtown Fargo, local colleges, shopping centers, and several restaurants. The Courtyard features a 24-hour fitness center, 24-hour on-site Starbucks, and our bistro restaurant and lounge open for breakfast and dinner daily. Relax in one of our 2 indoor swimming pools and hot tub. The comfort your family needs close to all the action at the Courtyard by Marriott. Visit our website or call 218-284-1000. That's 218-284-1000.
Welcome back to the Dragon Way. I'm Steve DeStatio. Dragon head football coach Steve Lockley is still with us as we reminisce the first ever Dragons victory over a really talented Augustana team in 2015. And joining us is the pride of Stanley, North Dakota, former Dragon standout and current assistant coach Abe Rorick. Abe, what is good in your world?
Well, we got a little more time, with the 2020 stuff. So we've been getting a little extra golfing in and been hitting the lakes this summer. So it's been a good time away from football. Obviously, you'd rather be coaching and playing, but it's not bad.
What made you want to become a Dragon?
I like the values the program had. That was probably the biggest thing. I met with Coach Lockway and Coach Hunt. And just talking with them and talking with my parents, and it seemed to match up value-wise. That was the biggest thing.
Coach, why did you have to have this guy on your team?
I think Abe was, looking at his high school career, is kind of Mr. Everything in Stanley, a multi-sport guy. We had people that we knew that were there that vouched for his character and his leadership, and then obviously he was productive on the field. And so anytime you have that combination, that's a guy that you want to have into your football program.
Abe, what was your biggest responsibility game-wise?
Just making sure we're all doing our 1/11th every play. With Aaron Bull out there, he helped with that a lot. But trying to get everybody on the same page and just making sure we can keep the ball in front of us all the time.
So let's start this, and they're going to go to the run game. They're going to stick to to what they got them with to this point. Correct, Coach?
Absolutely. And you know, for us, it's, again, we wanted to load the box to take it away. We also didn't want them to grind the clock and shorten the game. We needed to extend the game because that's the only way we felt like we could win. We didn't feel like we were talented early. We could only outbeat them if we were out conditioned, you know, in that standpoint. We have always said there's two different teams that play in the fourth quarter. We got to be the one that's the better team, the more conditioned team at the end of the game, not necessarily the beginning.
C.J. Ham, starting fullback, it was just released for the Minnesota Vikings this season once again, which is really, I think, neat to see guys playing on Sunday in the NSIC. Here goes Ham again. And
a tackle by O'Rourke.
Yeah, well, he got him. Did you know you were tackling a future NFL star?
I didn't at the time. We knew he was a load, and like Coach Lockway said, we wanted to get to him. You know, if he gets going, he's a tough dude to bring down. But you see, there's 3-4 guys hitting his legs at, you know, right at the line of scrimmage almost. So that was big.
All right, here's first down from midfield.
Here's one you can kind of see it all come together where Binford bluffed the blitz at the beginning of this play, and the safety rolled down to that side as well. The drive previous to this, Binford got a sack off of a single receiver width look just like this before, so we kind of bluffed it. Again, we're trying to get into the quarterback's head, rattle him a little, so now there is no real pressure, just the illusion of pressure. And then thank goodness, you know, Chris ends up transitioning on this ball really well to be able to get an interception.
Yeah, just a remarkable play. What do they call it? Jumping the play, and Binford came in. That got you guys the ball back. You had already scored twice. Abe, did you know, hey, you know what? We can play with these guys.
Yeah, we were a confident football team coming in. I think Coach Lockway mentioned it earlier. You know, we felt we didn't play great football the week before. So we kind of had a little bit of an edge with that, and we were a confident football team coming into this game and wanted to get off to a hot start. So,
Steve, what do those numbers look like?
We'll take that. Yeah, anytime we had to drive, but getting the ball back with the takeaway, we'll definitely take that. And exactly what we wanted. It was nice looking at the beginning of this game how things, you know, you try and lay things out as a coach and you have a plan. It's awesome when they go according to plan. A lot of times they don't, and you got to adjust. But offensively came out, did what the plan was, and then defensively, you know, executed the plan really well so far.
Remained 14-3 at the end of the first quarter. Each team would trade touchdowns, and it was 21-10 at the half. On the other side, Abe will hang out, and he'll be joined by former fellow player and current coach Wade Youngbloom. I'm sure this is going to be an Emmy Award-winning show. It's the Wade and Abe Show. It's coming up next. You're watching the Dragons play.
Your man cave is a lie. It's not a masculine refuge. It's a basement in your wife's house. Caves don't have frilly craft store signs. Yell about it. In your man cave, no one can hear you scream. Wake up! Head upstairs and get to B-dubs, where the kegerators are just called taps, the wall color is TVs, and the wings taste like freedom. Also, your friends actually like coming here. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar!
Libby here with another lesson.
Okay, gotta make a list. Pay cable bill, research car insurance rates, get groceries. And my student loan payment is due next week.
You look stressed. If you're worried about money, try riding Mass Bus.
There is a bus stop pretty close to my job. I could give it a try.
Awesome. More conditioner?
Thanks a lot.
He learned his lesson. Join us and take the challenge to ride green.
Heading to Fargo-Moorhead to get away and have a little fun? Book your room at the highly rated Microtel Inn & Suites. It's conveniently located just off 8th Street and I-94. Clean rooms and all the amenities you need to relax and recharge after a fun day out. Plus, when you wake up, you can enjoy a free hot breakfast. What are you waiting for? Book your room today at the Microtel Inn & Suites in Moorhead. Call 218-284-4022 or visit microtelmoorhead.com.
Prosperity is today's investment in tomorrow's promise, the promise of a better way of life. With every act of kindness, every act of creation, and with every act of love, we strengthen our community. And when we stand together as a community, we accomplish the impossible. We can choose to pass through life, or we can choose to pass on a better way of life.
Welcome back to the Dragon Way and the aforementioned Wade and Abe show, our little version of halftime here on our first installment of the Dragon Way, as we bring back Abe Rourke, we bring in Wade Youngbloom. Wade, you played for Coach Lockway, now you're coaching for Steve Lockway. Tell me how the transition's gone.
I mean, now I'm about as a coach as long as I've been a player. So, you know, the transition, the good thing is that he gave me an opportunity as soon as I got done playing. And with that opportunity, I've kind of earned everything that I've gotten since then.
How neat is it for you to follow the Dragon Way as a player and now preach it as a coach?
I love it. I mean, I think now it's obviously pretty easy because I feel like that's kind of what's molded me. You know, just as I've kind of gone along in my adult life, I still use those 4 things in every little decision I make.
Abe, the Dragon Way, difference between a player and a coach?
Yeah, you know, I think it's, as a player, you're very focused on using it, you know, within football. It trickles over to your life, you know, maybe school and small things like that. But now as a coach, you know, just like Coach Youngbloom was saying, it's more of a lifestyle now. Now it's, I mean, you're living it 24/7. You're bringing it into your family. You're bringing it in, you know, to your relationships with your friends and things like that. And when you're preaching it, you got to live it. And I, you know, it's something great to live, in my opinion.
You guys ready for this Wade and Abe thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it, guys. Thank you.
Roddy, I don't think that's a train I'd want to stand in the way from. If anyone remembers Joe Rademacher, that dude would put guys to sleep.
I still remember a game where a helmet went flying. It looked like he sent the whole dude's head into the stands just about.
All right.
Jiskra finding his home. Being on the defense, we always felt like we had a good chance of scoring if Adam Jiskra's on the field. I mean, it was like you never thought any lead was safe by an opponent when we're coming back, you know, or whatever it is.
No doubt. And if people remember too, this is when Zane and Aaron literally lost every coin toss ever. So it was nice to have our offense score because we were used to them being on the field most of the time anyways. Can you reminisce about anything that you remember going into halftime?
Oh, man. Well, you know, we had a little bit of a lead, right? That second quarter, it seemed like as a defense, we were on the field. I don't know what the exact stat was, but it felt like we were on the field the entire second quarter. So we were a little tired going into halftime. You know, we needed some Gatorade and some fruit snacks and whatever we could find. But we knew we were going to be in for a 4-quarter battle after that quarter for sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of guys on defense tripping over the offense. Hey, you know, just keep putting up points. And we'll get stops and, you know, just keep us off the field a little bit. Let's not turn it into we're on the field the whole time and you guys aren't, unless that is resulting in some touchdowns.
You know, coaching as a defense now, one of the biggest things that we could have learned there is let's get off the field, man. Give the offense a chance, especially, you know, Coach Lockway's offenses, they're known to put up points. So let's just get those guys on the field, you know, give them a shot to wear out that defense. You know, we watched early those screens, the sideline to sideline throws. Well, those don't work if the defense is sitting on the field, you know, sitting on the bench for 12 minutes. So we just wanted to really, you know, 3 and outs or end drives early to get them back out there. And that's something we're still preaching today as coaches now. So
at a coach's perspective now, you know, you see that a lot of times that stuff that's not getting off the field comes down to execution. And, you know, that's maybe something that we probably didn't look at when we were players, where the source of it was. But I bet a lot of it had to do with just simple execution and being able to get everyone on the field on the same page. You know, a lot of like what Abe said that Aaron Bold did a great job of is getting everyone on the same page. So we knew that if we were going to win this football game, going in the second half, we had to execute, drive in and drive out.
Let's look at that second half then. And thanks for watching the Wade and Abe show. We'll get back to the Steve and Steve show, I guess.
Exceeding expectations. Getting better every day. It doesn't happen by chance. Preparation pays off. So the only question to ask yourself is, am I better today than I was yesterday? Exceed yesterday. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Prosperity is today's investment in tomorrow's promise. The promise of a better way of life. With every act of kindness, every act of creation, and with every act of love, we strengthen our community. And when we stand together as a community, we accomplish the impossible. We can choose to pass through life, or we can choose to pass on a better way of life.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I didn't have to do anything. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But man, being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up out of bed to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to. The sheer effort it takes just for basic life functions like breathing has earned you the right to have someone bring that sandwich to you. Your struggle is not lost on us. Have a sandwich, you hero.
Affinity Plus definitely seems like a credit union that cares about people. I've always had a good time whenever I go into my branch. I feel like I laugh every time. Like if they came into a bar, right, then they would be like the friend that you want to introduce to everybody. I talk about this credit union all the time because I think it's just like a gift to the world, because with my experience in the past, this has been just indescribable.
I'm Steve DeStacio. I'm rejoined by head coach Steve Lockway. And just to note, coach, that the Wade and Abe show will be to the 2020s what Seinfeld was to the 90s. Do you agree?
Gotta agree. Yeah. I don't have much more to say.
It leaves me speechless, too. All right, let's get to the highlights. Hey, Dragons, you're down now. We go late. We fast forward to this game. You're down 32-28, and you needed some points. In fact, it's a 3rd and 14, 3:54 left in the ball game.
Yeah, I would say this might be the play of the game. In reality, this is, I mean, you don't get this, it's pretty much over. So huge play coming off of this. Lucky that Adam got to where the sticks were. In reality, there's a play before this where if you watch MedHog up in motion here on this one, and then he turns upfield, that's the guy they left a couple of plays earlier than this. And so in reality, we're thinking we got a shot at getting him, but obviously they made the adjustment. They're running with him now, which then obviously leaves Adam wide open right at the sticks. Good job by a senior, making sure he put us in position to get the new set of chains and continue the drive.
Yeah, you got 13.5 yards on 3rd down.
Under 3 minutes to play. MedHog.
Empty backfield.
Yeah, which was good for us. It gave us just a kind of a peek of what we thought they might be doing. If you're looking at this is a play off what we had in the first drive where we were blocking there, but able to get the ball to Corey on a short run. Kind of within this drive, we use this concept 3 different ways in this kind of last scoring drive of just different ways where Corey was spotting up short. We were bringing something in behind him. So great run after the catch, huge piece here. Obviously it stops the clock, allows us to stay, in our regular rhythm.
Yeah, Demetrius is one of the few times he's going to run out of time, and I don't know how he Houdini'd his way out of that. But before this play, Steve, I mean, we've been mentioning all the specialty guys, and of course Adam Jiskra and Damon Gibson's coming out, and MedHog and Demetrius, but your offensive line was really, really good this game.
Phenomenal job. Did a great job on giving them time. Obviously he had to work out a little bit here. It's tough on those last drives when everyone knows that you're in pass mode and you're trying to get that comeback. Now here's one which is tough. Probably not a great call in hindsight. We got a little pump fake to the short route. Obviously, the defense didn't take the cheese on that one, but we got stuck with 3 receivers to the short side of the field off of the play before. But because we were tight on time, we just stayed in that formation, and it's not a formation that we use very, very often. So there weren't a lot of plays that we had in the playbook that week to really go off of. So, you know, we took the best shot that we had. Works out great for us. Demetrius able to scramble out and just get positive yards out of the play.
I'm sure in hindsight you wish you had the far side of the field, because everybody knows Meach can wheel. But I think he just ran out of real estate here, and then the discipline of a good team with nobody wearing white blasting him out of bounds.
Yeah, and I'd say in hindsight you wish that you have more than 4 seconds to make a decision on a play call too. But given the 2-minute drive, that's how it works. So you can see us back in empty here with no receivers. Just a version again of that route that we had to the top. You can kind of see where we're going to start to exchange Medhog and Jiskra. And then at the bottom, you can kind of see how it plays out again. Just another look at that concept that we got the ball to Corey earlier. It's the same exact play. Just looking for completions at this point.
I don't think he cared about how big he was or is. I mean, he made the game-winning catch the week before. I'm sure Abe and Wade will justify it. He can hit the ball a ton, but man, if there was a big play that he had, Corey Ambrose was there, and he proved it. And same with this guy, Jiskra.
Yeah, big play again. This is out of empty now. So going through the series, they had played a zone. Now they're playing us in a man-free look, and so you could kind of see the under route opened up, basically a throwing lane to Adam. So we got I remember this play specifically signaling it. We just cued Adam on a specific call, which is double move that you don't see here at the bottom of the screen. So basically he just faked the route that he caught right before and then went deep on him and obviously wide open. Big touchdown. Obviously an exciting time, I think, not just in this game, but overall looking back at the program in the last 10 years.
Remember, this is your backup guy. This is his 4th touchdown. And that was Adam Jiskra's 3rd touchdown. It's fair to say that they work well together. But with the PAT, an important one, 1:26 left to go after the Adam Jiskra touchdown. 9 plays, 70 yards, 69 yards. Not much again on the ground because you had to get in the end zone. Do you feel, I mean, this is 5 years removed, still 1:26 left to go. Were you worried about leaving them clock, or were you just worried about we got to get into the end zone?
I was just worried about scoring. You know, at that point when you're down 4 points, you know you need a touchdown. You score any way you can. And sometimes if you look at that touchdown there of 24 yards, if we milk the clock and get closer, all of a sudden the field condenses and it gets tighter, and those throws and those windows become more difficult. And so sometimes it's better to score when you're from 24 yards out versus maybe just 4 yards out. And so we'll take a touchdown anytime we can get it to take the lead with under a minute and a half to go. And, you know, count on the defense, rely on the defense to secure the win.
You're watching The Dragon's Way. He's Steve Lockway. I'm Steve DeStatio. And we were just talking about Adam Jiskra, so we can spotlight him here on our senior spotlight. We didn't know this at the time, but this was going to be his final full game as a Dragon, because I saw when he was down on the field the week following, Adam had 6 catches for 93 yards and the 3 touchdowns, including that last one that we just saw, to give you the lead. When you think about the Dragon Way culturally, this is a guy, undersized guy from Grafton, North Dakota. Did you know that Adam Jiskra was going to be this kind of special player when you brought him into the program?
Had no idea. We thought he had a chance. He was a guy that everybody raved about because he was such a great basketball player, such a great defender, and he didn't really commit until almost the end of his basketball season. So it wasn't even at normal signing time. He was a guy that really hadn't spent any time in the weight room, and I was the one that told him, hey, you're probably going to need to redshirt because the chances of you playing as a true freshman are about as close to 0 as they can get. But I think he really epitomized, that keep getting better portion of the Dragon Way of, you know what, he showed up and almost last in the depth chart, and the next thing you know, he's getting reps with the third team, then the second team, and then we're having a conversation about pulling his red shirt because we think he could play in the rotation. And then about a week later, he's named a starter at receiver as a true freshman. And so I think not just starting that way into his career as a Dragon, but he continued to get better in his time here. And you know, besides that, got to be one of the funniest guys I've ever been around from that standpoint. Love his sense of humor.
All right, Adam Jisker's touchdown gave the Dragons the lead. We'll bring the band all together. We'll bring back Wade and Abe, and we'll finish this thing out. You're watching The Dragon Way.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
In Moorhead, talk to State Farm agent Dave Eggers.
Hello, welcome to Spicy Pie. Can I take your order?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have, Pizza Grinders beer. Pizza Grinders beer. What other reason would I be here if never Pizza Grinders beer? I need those grinders for my appetite. That beer top with that frothy white. Craving for the flavor, that's when you order everything on the menu. That's Pizza Grinders beer. Pizza Grinders beer.
We have tacos too.
Oh, okay. Then I'll have Pizza Grinders Tacos beer. Pizza Grinders Tacos beer. I can't wait to make it disappear. My Pizza Grinders Tacos beer. The mystery, the wizardry of spicy pie. Synergy is the best pizza in history, and they do deliver. I need that spicy pie, the only thing that can satisfy. With such great prices, that's when you order everything on the menu.
Would you like dessert with that?
Y'all have dessert too? Pizza Grinders beer, dessert nuts, peanut butter bars, Zapolas? What's Zapola? Okay, y'all got Mexican too? Okay.
When you get a news membership, you get all access. What does all access mean? For one low subscription rate, you can read and view all of the 20-plus Forum Communications news brands, including exclusive members-only live streams and virtual events. Simply become a member to get all your local and regional news from all of our online news sites, e-papers, apps, and more. Discover the benefits of All Access membership today.
Prosperity is today's investment in tomorrow's promise. The promise of a better way of life. With every act of kindness, every act of creation, and with every act of love, we strengthen our community. And when we stand together as a community, we accomplish the impossible. We can choose to pass through life, or we can choose to pass on a better way of life.
It's a new stay at the Courtyard by Marriott, located just minutes from downtown Fargo, local colleges, shopping centers, and several restaurants. The Courtyard features a 24-hour fitness center, 24-hour on-site Starbucks, and our bistro restaurant and lounge open for breakfast and dinner daily. Relax in one of our 2 indoor swimming pools and hot tub. The comfort your family needs close to all the action at the Courtyard by Marriott. Visit our website or call 218-284-1000. That's 218-284-1000.
Welcome back once again to The Dragon Way, where we just don't break down film. So without further ado, let's break down some film. We'll bring back Wade Youngbloom, Steve Lockway, Abe Rorick. The Dragons just took the lead, up 3, 1:09 left to go, and Augustin has got the ball again. Steve, is your stomach churning at this point?
Absolutely. At this point in the game, I've probably got a whole bag of fruit snacks shoved in my mouth and chewing on those. So that's kind of my go-to when things get stressful on the sideline. So if anybody sees that, come fall of 21, if the fruit snacks are in my hands, I'm probably pretty nervous.
Abe, you can't be eating fruit snacks right now. You're on the field.
Yeah, definitely nervous a little bit, but confident. You know, we had made some stops in this, and we knew we all just had to do our 111th out there. We knew we were going to play some man coverage this drive. So for me, it was really just focusing on shutting down the one guy across from me.
35-32, Dragons up, 109 left to go. They have the ball on the 23-yard line. We pick it up. They're on their own 32-yard line, so they still have. Remember, a field goal will tie it for them, and I'm sure they know that. A field goal is good enough for Augustana. Let's go to the videotape. Remember, they still have C.J. Ham in the backfield, Steve, so it's not just Trey Hyde, and they have all 3 of their timeouts left.
Yeah, I think it's important, at this time from a coaching perspective, so our thoughts are keep the ball in front of us, and so if you look at this drive, we're in some zone coverages early, no big plays, allow them to throw it off and be short, but no big plays. You can see as the drive started to advance, exactly like Gabe said, we got into some man situations where we wanted to pressure, but we stuck with
remaining. There it is.
Make the quarterback beat us with his arm, not running the ball. And if he could do that, then that is what it is. From a head coach perspective, you're obviously watching this, and I think you asked, what I was thinking at about this point. But to be honest, you're usually one step ahead. So we're having a conversation offensively on the sideline about what are we going to do in overtime, because they're playing for a field goal to tie this thing. What are going to be our calls that we feel like can actually get us something from an overtime perspective? So you kind of see here they get a couple big ones that now took us out of the zone coverage, I think, and now we start getting ourselves transitioned into some man. Little bluff pressure here with Aaron Bull walked up into that thing, isolating Abe here.
I'm just praying they don't throw it to my guy.
Thank goodness we had 2 extra guys over the top.
Ball grabs him.
But there's exactly what we're looking for. They just burn 5-7 seconds for a 1 or 2 yard gain. We'll take that in a 1 minute drive situation.
You see the clock, 48 seconds left to go. Again, all Augustana needs is a field goal and probably staring straight down the barrel of overtime.
Yep, and we've transitioned here to kind of some man-free or some 2-man looks. This one, Abe probably stuck on a shoelace or something, because normally you wouldn't let a guy get that wide open. So,
that's your guy.
You can see pre-snap, I turned to the safety, Mike Strand, and he said he's got some help inside, and then he ended up getting ran off by the number 3 receiver. So I blame it on him, not on me.
Typical.
Yeah.
Steve, is life about blame?
Yeah, accept as much blame as you can, I guess.
Either way, it was a great tackle, whether you want to call it blown coverage or not. And then an incomplete pass here. Aaron Bowl, the official John Caldwell, might have cost Bowl an interception.
And I will tell you, and Abe can probably vouch for this, I swear there was about one of those every practice.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is actually a play we've talked about a lot, as a friend group. We're giving Aaron a lot of grief for this one here. He claims that C.J. Ham put a hand on it. So you guys can watch it. You can replay it in slow motion, and you'll never see C.J. Ham touch this thing. But Aaron will claim it to his deathbed. So
the official's off the hook. John Caldwell can sleep at night. Okay. I saw in an earlier spot where Caldwell put his hand on the back of Bowl, maybe for separation. So I didn't know if that was an excuse for Aaron. But either way, pretty serious stuff here. It's 2nd and 10, 29 seconds left. And I think Trey Hyde was honestly trying to force this, Coach.
Yeah, and you can see we're in a 2-man situation, meaning everybody's man coverage with 2 extra safeties over the top. And actually both safeties touch the ball here, one of them with a tip, and then it tips it to the other safety in Mike Strang. So great job by the defenders. Look at that. We got 4 guys on 1.
Garrett Shelley got the tip, not Abe Rohr. 18, not 20, but
I mean, you can just see the emotion right there from not just Mike, but you see it from everybody. And this is the stuff that makes football fun, right? You're celebrating with your friends at the end of a game. I mean, this is awesome.
I think one of the things that gets lost was the play right before this, that Wade is actually the one, Coach Youngbloom, gets the hit on the quarterback and knocks him to the ground where he's laying flat on his back. And so you wonder, you know, Mike Strand gets the credit here for the interception, but is it really Youngbloom who rattled him and shook him the play before? I don't know. That's what Wade might tell you.
You know, back then, you know, you could see that I didn't miss very many meals, so I made sure I put every ounce of my body weight on his sternum when I took him out, and I was hopefully making sure he was still going to be gasping for air that next play.
So we go into this section called Coach Speak, and we have three coaches here. At the time, you had Wade and Abe on the field. What was the conversation? What was the banter between you and your guys upstairs?
For sure, just we got to get a first down, you know. So as I kind of said before, we're talking about, okay, worst case scenario, we're going to end up being in overtime. What are the plays that we can get us in position overtime wise? Now all of a sudden this thing flips, and now we've got to think about, oh gosh, okay, how are we going to get the clock run out? And so it was, what are the best runs do we have, short yardage, whatever it might be, you know, and motivating our guys too. One first down wins the football game. That's the message. If we can get a first down, we win the game. It's over.
35-32, Dragons up, trying to hang on. We'll take a break. When we come back, I'll talk with Kevin Cook, the quarterback who transitioned from the pre-Steve Lockway days to becoming the starting quarterback for the Dragons and then coaching for Steve Lockway. You're watching The Dragon Way.
Riddle me this, with all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Papa John's papadillas for just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Your man cave is a lie. It's not a masculine refuge, it's a basement in your wife's house. Caves don't have frilly craft store signs. Yell about it. In your man cave, no one can hear you scream. Wake up! Head upstairs and get to B-dubs, where the kegerators are just called taps, the wall color is TVs, and the wings taste like freedom. Also, your friends actually like coming here. Buffalo Wild Wings. Roar!
Dragon Swim School is proud to offer year-round swimming and diving lessons with the lowest student-to-instructor ratio around. Lessons are available for all levels, including parent-child sessions and preschool. Help your child learn to love the water in a safe and caring environment with us at Dragon Swim School. Visit msumdragons.com/swim for more information. That's msumdragons.com/swim.
Just looking back on myself freshman year to who I am currently, it's a complete transformation.
You walk around campus all the time, you see friendly faces, you see smiling faces, and people really, really love being here.
For me personally, I was able to get the experience and the knowledge that I needed to be successful.
I've had a pretty long journey to get here. Went to community college, changed majors, and MSUM has transformed my life just incredibly.
Heading to Fargo Moorhead to get away and have a little fun? Book your room at the highly rated MARRIOTT Inn and Suites. It's conveniently located just off A Street and I-94. Clean rooms and all the amenities you need to relax and recharge after a fun day out. Plus, when you wake up, you can enjoy a free hot breakfast. What are you waiting for? Book your room today at the MARRIOTT Inn and Suites in Moorhead. Call 218-284-4022 or visit MARRIOTTmoorhead.com.
Back to the Dragon Way. I'm Steve DeStacia, and I'm now joined by current Northwestern University coach and former Dragon quarterback, Kevin Cook. Coach, what's good in your world in 2020?
I'm doing all right, Steve. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Two-time captain for the Dragons. So you came in under Joel Beard, and then your second year, your senior year, was under Steve Lockway. Tell me about the transition as far as the locker room, what Steve Lockway brought to his first year at the Dragons.
Yeah, it was, Coach Lockway, he brought a whole new perspective on leadership and culture. And really him and his whole staff, they were focused on the person rather than the player. And that's not really just coach speak. That's not coach speak that I'm speaking about. That was the truth. They cared about the person rather than the player. And so I think once myself and the rest of my teammates kind of realized that the coaches really do care about us, and they don't necessarily just care about the outcome. They want to make sure that we're continually do maximize potential in all phases of our life. I think that's when the kind of culture started to turn. So I think that's one of the biggest things that he kind of brought was just a new perspective on leadership and the way a college football coach should be.
What was your role? You guys had the ball, first down, knowing that Augustana had 3 timeouts remaining. How much communication were you having with Steve Lockway?
Yeah, I think there was quite a bit of communication. I worked with the punt team, so obviously if we don't get a first down, we're going to have to punt or get in punt formation and either punt it away or kick it out of bounds.
All right, let's set this thing up again. The Dragons have the ball up 35-32, 21 seconds left. Problem is Augustana has all 3 timeouts left. So you guys have all said, we're not going aerial, giving the ball to Zane Medhog, and I'm sure ball security was a topic of conversation as well.
Definitely wanted to keep the ball, in our possession. You can see just off the first one, which I tried to window dress a little bit with motion, seeing if we were going to have man, try and get a few moving pieces out of the box or soft defenders tackling. At the end of the day, some of it, we're trying to get the first down. We're also trying to dig ourselves, a little bit of space to wiggle in the back for the punt. At this point, was not thinking about passing, just thinking about, hey, we got to do what we got to do to win. Let's play the numbers.
So that was third down. Let's hold the tape right here.
So this is where they take their third timeout. In my mind, I've been calling offensive plays. Kevin's got the defense or the punt team kind of in his mode. And so my mind is, all right, hey, offense, get off the field. We're going to punt this thing. Let's just get it off and let's get it out of bounds. And that's where, Kevin said, I think we can take a safety here. I think we can run around long enough, maybe even end the game, but at least, let's not give them the ball back, with a fair catch or return that might be 1 second left in a field goal. And I thought, that was the point, where you're like, wow, he kept his composure when maybe everybody around him wasn't. He was willing to think outside the box, had a great idea, had the courage to bring it up.
Coach Cook, after what you just heard, were you willing to take the responsibility of the football game based on this wacky idea at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to say that I wasn't cringing when, Damon was talking about going for the first down. I think that was kind of Damon's personality too, is he's just going to find a way to get a first down and be aggressive and go get it. But
you can see he starts to run onto the green.
Yeah, he starts to run on the green. But this was a credit to Steve too. I mean, I was a young coach and Steve was willing to just listen to me, and I think myself and Coach Lockway and Coach Rourke and Coach Youngbloom have all learned that, these small little intricate plays that might show up once every 5 years are worth the time to just talk about once a week for 5 seconds or so, or 5 minutes or whatever it is during the season, because you never know when this situation is going to come up. So that was a great little lesson for us, but unfortunately it turned out well for us as well.
Drive officially was 4 plays for -7 yards, but obviously you got to do what you needed to do, and then to beat Augustana, Coach? What was your first thoughts?
Oh, just a big sigh of relief.
The Dragons had ever beaten Augustana.
You know, at that point, it's just a big sigh of relief where, okay, we made it through that. You know, your heart is pumping about as fast as it can pump. You know, and then I think it sets in later after the fact of, okay, you know, we're 3-0. We beat a team that we'd never beaten, a team that in the end ended up being a playoff team when that season was done. They were 9-2 regular season. It was a big step for us. And I think in reality, it was our talent had finally caught up to our belief. I think there were plenty of times we believed we could win a lot of games, but we weren't really talented enough to do it. But we believed. And I think we finally realized that we had the talent to be able to do that. And so I think it was a pivotal time in the growth of the program over the last kind of 10 years.
As far as a leadership message, what did you take out of this game?
You know, I think it was important. Our guys, you know, no excuses, find a way. You know, the week before we had won when the deck probably said we had 0% chance to win, but we found a way to win. Same thing this one, find a way to win. We're out-talented, but we kept our composure down the stretch. We got the lead. We made a play on defense, and then we made a smart play special teams-wise. And so I think, you know, that was a piece. And then the fragileness of depth that leadership has to permeate. It cannot just be the guys that are playing. It can't be the superstars. It has to kind of permeate through the program. And when you can do that, you've got a chance to have long-lasting success.
Special thanks to Kevin Cook for joining us, as well as Steve Lockway, Wade Youngbloom, and Abe Rourke. And many, many thanks to Chris Needham and Dragon Football. Our executive producer is John Webking. Our director is Alex Nelson. With Rex Stutz, Sean Rice, and all the great folks at Go Team Production, this is Steve DeStacio saying so long for the Dragon Way. And as always, go Dragons!
If you missed any of today's show, please visit msumdragons.com/thedragonway for all episodes and exclusive extended interviews. That's msumdragons.com/thedragonway. We're back right here on WDAY Extra in 2 weeks on Tuesday the 29th at 6:30 p.m. to recap another moment in Dragon football history as we go all the way back to 2013 as the Coach Lockway Dragons won the Battle for the Paddle rivalry against the University of Mary. Thanks for watching The Dragon Way, and of course, go Dragons!
This broadcast is copyright Minnesota State University Moorhead and presented by Dragon Athletics. All rights reserved.